Chris Stevenson. I am 68 years old, and the reason I'm doing this video is primarily twofold. First, there's a lot of people in the United States and Canada who need major dental work done. But the problem is they can't afford to pay $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 to have an all-on-4 procedure or to do a full mouth reconstruction. And they don't realize that you can have dental work done in Mexico if you're careful and you're very picky about who you go to, very safely, professionally, and economically done. The other thing is that I had a very positive experience in Cancun, Mexico. I had a full mouth reconstruction done, and believe it or not, it was a great experience. And what I'd like to do is spread the word to as many people as possible that Mexico is something you should check out, especially if money is a problem. One thing I'd like to do is start out with an experience I had about 4 years ago. My teeth were in bad shape. I had a bunch of crowns. They were cracked. They were leaking. Every tooth in my mouth had been worked on, and my teeth were two-tone. You know, I had yellow teeth and then white teeth where they had done fillings. And I just wasn't really happy with my teeth. And to be honest, I felt self-conscious. Anytime I talk to people, obviously they're looking at my teeth. I went to a dentist in Salt Lake City, Utah, and they specialized in all-on-4 procedures. So those are fixed dentures that are put in place by implants. I had a good consultation with him. He said, you know, Mr. Stevenson, we can help you. We can get that smile back and everything done for you in just the course of a few months. And the price tag, $45,000. Well, obviously, I became very uninterested in having that kind of a procedure done. That's a lot of money for anybody. Over time, I started to look at dental tourism. You can go to India, you can go to Thailand, you can go to Mexico, and I wanted to see if there was any validity to getting good quality dental work done anywhere in the world. I ended up doing months and months of research. That entailed telephone calls to clinics, patients who actually had these procedures done. And I was going to be in Cancun, Mexico anyway on a family vacation. I had made arrangements with a clinic down there, Cancun dental specialist, to come in and take a look at what they had and how they operated. So while I was down there, I went in, had the consultation, ended up in the oral surgeon's office in his room, operating room. He took a look at the x-rays, and he said, Mr. Stevenson, you are not a candidate for an all-on-4 procedure. Your bone structure is great, your roots are fantastic. You don't need an all-on-4. Well, immediately I was struck with how honest they were with each of their patients, and that scored a lot of points with me. They went on to recommend what they call a full mouth reconstruction. Believe it or not, that is more work and less money for those guys to do. Bottom line, my expense after having a full mouth restoration is $12,380. And if you do the math, you take $12,380 divided by $45,000 or more, whatever it would have been, is 28% of what it would have cost here in the United States. Needless to say, I was very, very happy with the work and also the price tag. I think the biggest question that comes up when you're considering dental tourism in Mexico is, do they have qualified, certified dentists that are going to be able to help me with my dental needs? To me, this was the most important question. And for me, major dental work in the United States or even in Mexico, it's important to have somebody that really is a professional and expert, has a lot of experience under their belt, and is able to do a fantastic job. Because of that, I was looking for a clinic that had a dentist that was certified not only in Mexico, but that had been trained in the United States and really had the credentials to do what I needed done. And for me, as I looked at different clinics in Tijuana and across the border from Texas, Cancun, Costa Rica. There was one dentist that really surfaced as the person I thought that could do the best job, and that was Dr. Galvadon, who is with Cancun Dental Specialist. Not only did she graduate from the #1 university in Mexico for her dental training, but she also did 2 years of advanced studies at the University of Michigan, which is one of the top dental schools in the United States. Her specialty at the University of Michigan was restorative dentistry, and she's also even working on a master's degree from the University of Michigan. Everything she does is based on her training in the United States. Anybody that works in her clinic has been trained personally by her, so they know what to do, what kind of practices to employ. So if somebody's going to be drilling holes in your jawbone or putting on a crown or doing some kind of restorative work, you want to make sure that they're certified. This particular dentist is not only licensed in the state of Michigan, she's also licensed to practice in California, which really helps on the insurance end of things because she's recognized as somebody that insurance companies can pay benefits to. Another big question that comes up when you're looking at dental tourism, and especially in Mexico, is their equipment, what they use, up to date? Is it modern? Is it the latest technology that's going to help them to do the job that needs to get done? That was really important for me because I can remember calling one clinic and they said, "Oh, we just take some normal x-rays, and then what we do is we can go ahead and do your procedure or do a all-on-4 procedure." That didn't cut it for me because I wanted to make sure they had the latest and the greatest. I would make sure when you talk to a clinic that they have their 3D, CBCT x-ray machines. They have their own lab with the latest milling equipment so they can put together zirconium crowns or implants, whatever you need, with the latest technology, and it's all computer driven so that you get absolute, precise, exact work. The other thing is making sure that your dentist and the clinic that you're using actually has been trained in using that equipment and knowing exactly what they're doing. My experience is some of these clinics did not have that kind of equipment. Where I went, and I'll call them CDS for Cancun Dental Specialist, had everything. They had just spent $80,000 on a new piece of milling equipment that they use in their own lab, which operates 24/7. So having up-to-date modern equipment is very important. Before I forget, in the description of this video here on YouTube, I also have a handful of links that you can go to. I'm kind of giving you the bare bones answers to some of these questions, but there are links where you can go add a little more flesh to the bones and get a better idea of dental tourism, and especially to Cancun, Mexico. The next question that comes up many times is, how clean and sanitary are the facilities at the clinic where you get your work done? That is really an important question. One thing you don't want to do is go down and have some serious dental work done and end up with some kind of an infection. Before I went to Cancun Dental Specialist, I made sure they had all the latest and greatest practices, and of course everything being supervised by this dentist who did her work at University of Michigan. They employ all the latest cleanliness, sanitary practices that you can imagine. They use filtered water, which is really important. They have gloves. Everything is done very, very well there in terms of keeping the facility clean. Before anybody walks into a dental room, that room has gone in and it is completely sanitized by the staff. So I was very impressed with the fact that they are very clean, very sanitary. I don't think anybody would have to worry about that at all. You know, I think another question that comes up is, how can they do it so inexpensively in Mexico compared to the United States? I mean, look at my situation, 28% of what it would cost in the United States. That's a huge discount right there. My dad was a policeman in Los Angeles. and consequently, I think I was born with his genes, and you begin to be suspicious of all kinds of things. But I think there's four main reasons why they can do it for so much less money in Mexico than here in the United States. Number one, they don't have the astronomical liability insurance that dentists in the United States have to pay. Obviously, the labor cost in Mexico for their staff to keep things clean, for real estate, for whatever it might be, is a lot less than the prices you're going to pay in the United States. The other thing is the government sets a maximum for any of these procedures that are done by dentists. So these dentists go to school, the government helps pay for their education, and then they take an active part in putting limits on how much they can charge for a certain procedure, whether it's an all-on-4, just a single implant, a full mouth reconstruction, or filling a cavity. I think another thing that's obvious is that the income a dentist needs to make in Cancun, Mexico, or anywhere else in Mexico, is a whole lot less than what a dentist needs to make and live on in Los Angeles or New York or Miami. So those are some reasons why I think they do it for so much less in Mexico. Another question I think that comes up, and that is a really important question to ask, and that is, what is the clinic's track record? Do they have happy patients? And I think that's a very legitimate question, because you can go to somebody who's been trained in the United States, but if they've only done 1 or 2 full mouth reconstructions a year, that's not a whole lot of experience. The dentist that worked on my teeth has done thousands and thousands of crowns, which is amazing. I can remember calling one clinic, I think it was in Tijuana, and I asked them, how many all-on-4 procedures do you do a year? They said, well, maybe 10 or 12. Believe me, that is not enough. You want to go to a clinic where the dentists have done hundreds of these procedures. Matter of fact, they do it so much that they could probably do it in their sleep if they had to. So that is really important. You want to make sure that if you have an oral surgeon, that they are certified and that they have all the licensing that they're supposed to. Were they trained in the United States? The dentist that worked on my teeth, not only was she trained in Mexico at the #1 university, but she also did advanced training in Chicago. She had gone up there for additional training. One of the things I did is I looked at all the reviews I could look at for a clinic. When I went to Cancun Dental Specialist, I bet I looked over probably 100 different reviews on Yelp, on Google, and everywhere else to find out if these guys were legitimate. I even went beyond that. I got phone numbers of patients that had actually gone there from the United States, and every single one that I talked to was so happy with the work that they had done, the amount of money that they paid, and the fact that they would go back and, without any hesitation, go back to Cancun Dental Specialist. Many of the people I met down there in Cancun, this was their second, third, some the 5th time that they had been back to see those folks. Important question. You're going to a foreign country to have dental work done. One of the obvious questions is do they speak English, and do they speak good English? And the reason I think that's important is because if you're talking to a surgeon, you're talking to somebody who's going to be working on your mouth, you want to know exactly what they're telling you, what they're recommending, and be able to have them understand you if you have any concerns or any questions about the procedures they're going to do.
Welcome to Cancun Dental Specialist.
When I was doing my research and I called some of these clinics, I could barely understand what they were telling me over the telephone. And these are supposed to be the frontline people that interface with people from the United States and Canada.
Welcome to Cancun Dental Specialist. My name is Alex.
So, important to go somewhere where they speak very good English. My experience at CDS was everybody from the front desk to the dentist to the assistants, the dental assistants. Everybody spoke very good English. Being able to communicate with them was not an issue at all. Another thing is when you're staying in the hotel zone, everybody speaks English. It's a hospitality industry. English is the language that gets spoken by the staff, and that is really not an issue whatsoever. Another question that may not be all that important to some people, but for me it was especially important. That is, what kind of guarantees does the clinic provide? What do they and what are they willing to put into writing? So many times you can call a clinic and they say, oh yeah, we'll guarantee our work, but there's a lot of clinics that absolutely will not give you anything in writing. If you go to my website where I explain some of these things, I have a copy of the guarantee, the written guarantee that was provided me by Cancun dental specialists. And that's the type of guarantee you want to get when you talk to any of these dental clinics down there. For them to be successful long term, they not only have to issue that guarantee, but they have to live by it.
Hello, my name is Maggie. I've been working for Cancun Dental Specialist for almost 5 years. I'm the financial manager in the clinic. Pretty much, what I have to do is help the patients understand the treatment plan. I try to go over, show the x-rays, explain, in detail what the doctors saw in the evaluation. We also go over the prices, the appointments, and pretty much just try to make the patient feel comfortable with what they're doing, make sure that they understand everything, and of course, show them how much money they're going to save by doing it with us.
Another big question that comes up is my insurance, my dental insurance, going to pay for any of this? I think something that's really important is the fact that the dentist that signs off on everything in Cancun is also licensed in Michigan and California. So it's really important that you bring your insurance forms with you so that they can fill it all out. The dentist can put down her name, her credentials, her license that she has in Michigan or California, and what you're going to find out that you'll probably get the maximum payout from your insurance company. If it's just a clinic in Mexico that does not have any licensing in the United States, not exactly sure if they will pay for it or not. One thing I recommend with Cancun dental specialists is contact their dental coordinators. Those guys speak perfect English. They can tell you exactly what will happen with your insurance, especially if you have a specific carrier in mind, and any other question that you have. Those are the guys that can help you through all of that. But if you'll bring your forms with you, that's an important step to make sure that the dentist can sign off on everything. Most dental programs don't pay for a whole lot, but if you can get your dental program to pay for, let's say, $1,500 worth of benefits, you have just paid for your round-trip ticket, a whole lot of groceries, and a very nice meal out at a restaurant in Cancun. Now, on my full mouth reconstruction, I had one tooth that they weren't happy with. It wasn't long enough, didn't look exactly perfectly right. I'm going to go down to Cancun again to actually get a single implant put in, and while I'm there, they will fix that tooth, make it so it's symmetrical with the one on the other side, and of course do it absolutely free. So get that guarantee in writing so that you know exactly what to expect. How much does it cost to get to Mexico? Where do I stay when I get there? Is it really safe to be walking out on the streets and to be hanging out in Cancun, Mexico? That's an important question. We hear stories all the time about Tijuana or Nogales or some of these border towns that are just over from the state of Texas. Cancun is absolutely safe. Where we stayed in the hotel zone, which is probably about 15 miles of boulevard, lined with beautiful hotels and beautiful beaches, it was absolutely safe. We would walk at night, 10:30 at night, we would walk home from a restaurant and not feel at risk whatsoever. So I would not worry about the safety right there in the hotel zone, the tourist area of Cancun. Another thing is the amount of money to get to Cancun, at least from Salt Lake City, it's cheap. I can do it for less than $500 round trip, which is really important because if you've got insurance that's going to pay you money, basically they've paid for your ticket and then some. The other thing that I think is important is when it comes to lodging, some people can afford to stay at a very, very nice hotel. Other people like me, there's no way I could afford $150, $200 a night at a hotel. One thing nice is when you call your dental coordinator, they can set up lodging for you. They can ask you what your budget is, and believe me, they can help you from something that's very, very inexpensive and safe all the way to something that's very nice like a Marriott hotel. Another important question is how much money can I really anticipate saving? And then also, is there any kind of financing that's involved? So one of the great things about Cancun Dental Specialists is you can actually go to their website, CancunDentalSpecialists.com, I think it is, and see the actual pricing that they have for a crown, for a dental implant, or for a root canal, or an all-on-4. It's all listed there. And more importantly, there are no surprises. I mean, if they say a dental implant all the way from the hardware that's implanted to the crown is $1,600, then that's exactly what it's going to be. When I looked at my invoice and my bill, it was to the penny exactly what they told me it was going to be. No surprises, which is really important. Overall, I think you can anticipate saving anywhere from 60 to 70% of what your dental bill would have been here in the United States. In my case, there's no way I could have afforded $45,000, $50,000 to have this work done. And for me, it worked out to be very, very nice. I had to borrow money to get it done. They don't have a payment plan. So when you go down there, you have to be prepared to put it on a credit card or have made loan arrangements before you get down there. But stop and consider how much money you're actually saving by going down to Cancun and having this work done. In my case, I was extremely happy with the end results and very, very happy with the price tag. When I was doing my research on all these various clinics, one of the most important questions you can ask is, what hardware do they use? If they're going to be putting implants into your jawbone, you want to make sure it is quality material and from a major supplier somewhere in the world. With Cancun Dental Specialists, you find that they use Nobel Biocare, which is one of the major suppliers throughout the world. They have probably the greatest market share among dentists. It's important because when it comes down to warranties on product, if something breaks or something needs to be repaired or replaced, it's important to be able to make sure there's parts. There's a lot of companies out there that will try to provide knockoff products, and if you use those products, then what happens is you need to get something replaced and they're out of business and there's nowhere to find a part to help you with your situation. So Stromann's, Nobel Biocare, those are the two top suppliers in the world. And that's important, just to make sure your clinic is using one of those two. Something that's very, very important to remember is that this is vacation time. I mean, obviously you're going down to get some important dental work taken care of, but you are crazy if you don't take advantage of all the great fun things you can do in Cancun. While we were down there, we went and saw Mayan ruins. We went out to Isla Mujeres, which is an island just outside of Cancun. We went to ATVs in the jungle. And for me, the greatest treat was to be able to just walk out onto the beach, some of the most beautiful beaches in the entire world, and there you are, getting a huge discount on your dental, being able to have affordable lodging, and enjoying the great beaches that they have in Cancun. So whatever you do, when you get down there, take advantage of everything there is to do in Cancun. You're going to absolutely love it. So here we are. This is the final product. A couple days ago, Sindel was the dentist, and today she was the artist because she did a fantastic job. Renee is a fantastic assistant, and now I want you to see the final product.